Hello, sweet friends. I was checking to see the numbers if it actually started recording, and it did, so we're good. Hi, my remote friends. Remember when I sent you your specific task regarding the compare contrast project that we're starting with the students in school? And I asked you, out of the materials that I already sent home, to complete the simile and metaphor portion after reading through all of the animal profiles in that green packet. Well, now it's time for the second part of the project. So what I want you to do is to look for a paper. Well, hold on a second. Let me get the blank copy of it. Looks like this. It says the graphic organizer, all right? Because this is something that we were working on this week. We completed all the simile metaphor and we moved on to our graphic organizer. So for the graphic organizer, the students and I really kind of walked through this because I have a particular way of which I like my sixth graders to fill them out. And that is with a lot of detail and in a way where the topics for when you choose your differences are matched up nice and evenly. So I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. But for starters, you need to pick two of the animals you probably already have if you completed the simile and metaphor activity. So say, for example, you picked Simon and Shadow, the two birds, okay? What you would do on this sheet is fill in Simon's name in one of the differences column boxes across the top, and Shadow's name in one of the differences columns box across the top. If you wanted to do it reverse and do Shadow and Simon, that's fine. If you pick Timmy and Nagini, what are you going to write? You're going to write Timmy and Nagini, or Nagini and Timmy. If you pick the two tarantulas, you are going to write Aragog and the rose hair, because it's a rose hair tarantula and she doesn't have a name. So we'll just call her the rose hair. All right? So you need to title with both names of your animals. And then you're going to do the same thing down across the bottoms. This is where all the similarities, everything they have in common, that's where all that information is going to be put. So I picked Simon and Shadow as my pretend example. So I wrote Simon and Shadow, okay? Now, you'll probably notice I have bullets spaced apart in each of these boxes. I have 4 of them, all right? So what I want you to do is also to spread out 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets within our differences portion across the top, 4 in each. And then please put 4 down in these similarities. Ooh, box across the bottom. Let's talk about the differences first. Right across the top. Now, I mentioned in the last video that I sent when I did an overview of all of the materials you were receiving that I'm not a fan of Venn diagrams. I don't like how when those circles come together, there's that weirdly shaped middle portion where you just have to squeeze in all of your writing. You can never be super detailed when you do that. So that's why I have this model that I made. Now, what you are going to do is you are going to search for 4 different topics of where your 2 animals are different, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, I'll tell you. For Simon and Shadow, we read about a couple things they had in common, and we read a couple things that they had different. So what I did was I first looked for an overall topic that I knew after reading they did not have in common, okay? And something that jumped out to me was the species of bird, right? And I didn't just say they're species of bird though, because we're in 6th grade and we do really detailed writing and we dig deep and we are descriptive and we explain. So here's my example. I'm going to hold it up to the screen and then I'm going to read through it with you. And I'm gonna cover this up at the bottom just so there's no distractions, okay? Over here, I chose to mention how Simon is a harlequin macaw, right? That's a species of bird. And I also chose to mention that that means he's a hybrid because that's something else that we learned about a harlequin macaw in our reading. And then I also mentioned how that means he's not naturally occurring in the wild, right? That all falls within the same category, so we're all going to put it for our one piece of information difference, all in one, because that gives a nice, really thorough, juicy, meaty description, all right? So instead of just saying Simon's a Harlequin macaw and Shadow is an African gray, we'll get there in a second, that's not really a whole lot to build a descriptive few sentences around. So instead, I wrote, Simon is a Harlequin macaw, which means he is a hybrid and does not naturally occur in the wild. Ooh, that's like 6th grade level writing. So, if we want to do the same thing for Shadow over on the other side, sorry, we had Miss Washburn just popped in the door, so sorry if I looked really distracted for a second. So then for Shadow, what I also want to do is follow the exact same topics that I covered over here for Simon, but mention how for the same topic, his are different, okay? So I wrote, Shadow is an African gray parrot and he is not a hybrid, so he does naturally occur in the wild, all right? So I hit all of the same topics that I mentioned for my first difference with Shadow as well, okay? And also notice, once again, I'm not just going the easy peasy lemon squeezy route and saying Simon is a Harlequin macaw and Shadow is an African gray. We can do more thorough work than that, and this is an example how. Now, we did read about other differences between them. And in fact, you are going to include 3 more, right? You could discuss their lifespan and how their lifespan is different. You could discuss how they look different. They have different colors, right? You could describe how they may